Yeah, how's it going? Yeah, so I heard about how my old boss is doing, the one with the forklift accident, mate. I rung up a bloke and found out, that he's on the mend, which is, it's a good thing. I think he learned his lesson pretty well, and 'cause I mean, honestly, he wasn't really hurt that bad, and doctors are real good at sewing people up these days. So I really don't know what all the fuss was about now. I reckon I should go for compo, mate, over the stress it put me through. But I do have some good news to tell you about, and that is that Janine's recently just gone back to work, for the first time since the baby was born. So that's real good, I mean, one income's not usually enough, but, with her back at work and with me on the dole, we're both pulling together to make ends meet. So that's a positive thing, mate. And I mean the thing with her work is, she gets a bit stressed. She's got her regulars. But it's really, she comes home, she tells me about the blokes that come in on their bucks nights, and that's the thing that really bothers me. I reckon that's just immoral, mate. People just don't have any morals that do that. That's just a bit wrong. That's just a bit wrong. I mean, she's there to do a job, fair enough. But I think they're taking advantage of what she does, Can you imagine paying for sex on your bucks night, mate? It's really disgusting, Some blokes have no respect, no moral fibre, I mean, if you're off your head at the pub and you pick up a lady, that's a bit different. But going out of your way to cheat on your missus, mate, that's when, society's just starting to fall apart, And when that happens, all you can do is try to hold it together, and that's where people like Janine come in. If it wasn't for her, where would blokes be? I mean, I really respect it, because she helps. I mean, aside from the bucks nights, let's not talk about that. But what about those poor, frustrated businessmen, mate, in those big office blocks? She's helping them out. What that bloke normally has to come home to is a wife that's stressed out on mogging on, babbling on about what she's seen on Dr. Phil or Oprah or some crap like that. And he doesn't really give a shit. All he wants is a good, So he goes to see Janine and her workmates on the way home. Problem solved, mate, and he's got a happy marriage because of it. It's kind of like doing community service work, except no judge has told him to do it. So it's pretty good. I reckon it's a valuable community service. If it wasn't for them, those blokes would be so frustrated they could be a danger to society, mate. And none of us want that. None of us want that. So, I reckon it's good and all for, from what I gather, it's all for a competitive, and reasonable price, mate. And heaps cheaper than those phone numbers you ring and pay $5 a minute, mate. And this is a real thing. We're helping people get out of their house and socialise. That's what Janine's doing, She's out there bringing the world together, mate. And I think that's a beautiful thing. I mean, you can't really put a price on that, can you? I mean, they do put a price on it. But you can't really, because what they're doing at the end of the day, I think they're really helping people to develop their social skills, mate. So bloody important, especially these days, mate, with all this internet stuff that we're doing right here. And the hours are flexible, she can work days or nights, mate. I mean, it's really good. So, okay, some people think it's a bit weird letting the missus work in that kind of line of work, But I mean, that's a glass half empty way to look at it, mate, or schooner half empty, as I like to say, It's about two things, mate, on my part. Self-control's one. I've got to know when to be jealous and when not to be. When she's at work, I've got to think of the greater good, don't I? All those people out there she's helping. I'd be a selfish son of a bitch. I'd be a selfish son of a bitch if I wanted her all to myself. I mean, can you imagine? If all those ladies stopped working, the divorce courts would be full, mate. They'd be full. Fine line there, Fine line. I just get a bit emotional when I think about the good work she does. I mean, she's holding she's she's holding back the tide of chaos, trying to destroy modern society, mate. I mean, I know that sounds pretty big, but that's what she's doing. If you want a part of that, mate, you've got to pay. That's not free, you know. All right, the second thing is, that was the first thing. The second thing is the money. Janine getting, doing what she does every night, for strangers, well, it saves us money. Now, right, they pay us, so that's obvious, But they're not the only ones doing her. I know her every night when she gets home, good and proper, mate. And, that goes without saying. But if I had to go and pay for that, it'd cost me thousands, mate. And who can afford that kind of thing in this day and age, mate? Not me. Not me. I'm on the dole. I'm unemployed. I'm a victim of society, mate. So we're trying to help society at the same time that we're victims of it, if you can understand that. So there's really, when you really think about it in perspective, there's really no argument. Janine's better off working. I'm better off with her working, and society as a whole. It's really just black and white, mate, clear cut, And you know what they say, practice makes perfect, mate. So all the work she does, the more she works, well, the better it is for me, She gets home to me and we're all happy, mate, Making more little Australians to populate the world. I'm proud of that, I really am.